Hey, Cardinals fans, welcome back to the Redbird Rundown. I'm Jonathan, joined by Matt, and we're excited today to have Benjamin Hochman with us. Benjamin is a sports columnist for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, which we all know, I think. Benjamin, how are you doing this evening, my friend?
I'm good. I'm excited to be on here. Fun to connect with the two of you. Let's talk some Cardinals.
Yes.
Boom.
Or Lord of the Rings. If you want to talk Lord of the
Oh
Rings.
my gosh, we can't derail the pod, but we could do 2 hours on Lord of the Rings.
For those listening, I was telling the Smith Bros beforehand that when I open my eyes, just so I look like Fat Frodo.
Which is an awesome reference. And if you're not watching, you do need to watch for that part because that was definitely worth it. So today we are dividing up the pitching trust pie. We've got the Cardinals rotation, and we're working with 100% of a pie, okay? The goal, divided up based on which starters we trust the most to sustain what they're doing the rest of the season. This isn't about who's been the best so far. It's about who we actually believe in going forward. Since we're recording on a Wednesday evening, I just have to throw this in here. And posting this on Sunday night, a few of these guys may start again here, right? So we might look like total morons or geniuses. So we'll see what's going to happen here. We'll just see.
So a guy pitches one perfect game. Like so that happens. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're talking
Just
pies
one.
here, folks. So just settle down, right? Before we get into it, wanted to take a quick moment to welcome all the new subscribers. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you stick around because we've got a lot more coming your way, including we just did and wrapped up a JJ Weatherholt Topps Now opening day card giveaway. If you haven't seen what that looks like, it is very neat, very cool. We like JJ around here. I'm not sure who wouldn't. So if you are interested in something like that going forward, be sure to follow us on Twitter. You can get all those details for our next giveaway. And then the last piece of housekeeping here, I got to shout out our Discord chat that we have recently spun up. It's been extremely fun. So what happens is during the games, we're all talking about it. There's a handful of us in there. It's gotten pretty fun. There's been some interesting things, like people calling things that are happening in the next pitch. I'm not sure how that's happening, but it's been a lot of fun. If you're interested in something like that, the link is in the episode description at the bottom of the episode. In a second, we are going to divide up the pitching trust pie after a word from our sponsor. You know, in baseball, the little decisions matter. Do you swing at the first pitch or wait for your spot? Do you go for three or hold up at second? The right call can make all the difference. Making the right insurance decision feels pretty good, too. That's why State Farm agent Scott Owens in Mount Vernon, Illinois, is ready to help you choose the coverage that fits your lineup and your budget. Scott and his team will walk you through your options so you know exactly what to expect if the unexpected steps up to the plate. With Scott Owens, it's easy to make the right call. Just give him a call today at 618-242-3770. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, gentlemen, it's time to cut into this trust pie. I don't know if that's going to be edible. Please, Benjamin, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but during the Scott Owens commercial, I got a text that said JJ Weatherholt was hit by another pitch.
Well, JJ, I got someone you can call.
Yeah.
Hey, there
for
we
some
go.
Help.
There
beautiful,
we go.
Beautiful. All right, guys, we're going to divide up this rotation. I am going to start with Matt here.
Right.
And then we're going to go to Benjamin and then to myself, and we'll swing back around. So, Matt, we're going to go through all of the starters here, just kind of how it's laid out from opening day. And if you need a refresher, that's Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, Dustin May, Kyle Leahy, and Andre Palante. So, Matt, your namesake, Matthew Liberatore, how are you going to split this up? How much of the pie does he get?
The first thing I did when I came to this is I had to picture the pie in my head. And listen, I am a fan. I love the Cardinals. I want all of these guys to do well and succeed. Now, that's not going to necessarily be reflected in some of the things that I'm going to be forced to say about some of these guys tonight, but that does not mean I don't want good things for them. So this is not like a chocolate pie kind of situation. This is more, I think, sorry to all the Cardinals fans out there, it's more of a rhubarb pie.
Ooh.
So I'm going to give Dustin May 35% of my pie. We're just going to give him a big, this is going to be gross, a big steaming pile of this pie. He is the one that I have the most trust in, and here is why. His first two starts, were cataclysmically bad. But his last 3 starts, he really seems to have turned the corner. I think the eye test tells you the location. He's really got that dialed in a lot more. I keep seeing these things on Twitter about like stuff plus of the day for pitchers. And every time May pitches, he's got the stuff. So I think the health is paramount for him. He's throwing BBs. The breaking stuff looks really good. He's running in the last 3 starts, like K percent minus walk percent is 16.7%. That's pretty high. So he's not beating himself with walks. He's getting some Ks. The ground balls are up. The home runs are down. And this is why I think I'm going to give him my biggest piece of pie. He's going to give us right into a top 100 prospect at the trade deadline. And so he's got the track record behind him. I think he's as proven a guy as we have. As long as he stays healthy, I feel pretty good when Dustin May takes the mound.
Okay. All right. Benjamin, do you have Dustin May feelings? Are you feeling good about Dustin May? Do you want to jump to him and see how what is his percentage?
Or is he even first? Maybe you got a different guy first.
Which would you like? Would you like my biggest piece of pie?
Yeah, do the biggest.
Yeah, let's see it.
Libertor.
Ooh.
I just trust him. I mean, it's called a trust pie, right?
It is.
Like, oh, who do I trust the most? It's Libertor. 3.67 ERA so far. 3 amazing starts, 2 okay ones.
Yep.
Really good against Houston the other night. But again, though, it's not just about this year. I mean, we're talking about the guy they trusted to be the opening day starter this year.
Sure.
Some of that, of course, was by default. I think myself and Derek Gould were in the running for opening day starter. That's how thin they were. but yeah, I'm just into the lefty Libertor, and he's got 40% of my pie.
Woo!
You know what's absolutely crazy, Mr. Benjamin Hochman, is I also have 40% of my pie to Matthew Libertor.
Oh, no. I'll see myself off the pod.
Can you believe this? Let me tell you why. See ya, pal.
Bakery.
That's right. All right, so here's how I looked at this. I thought, in a few years, who would I think is still going to be here? And I don't mean that in a negative way, but Libby does have a pretty high upside, okay? He's got 3 pitches that grade above average by Stuff Plus. Stuff Plus is not everything, but it is a nice metric to see, does this guy have the stuff to get outs? The answer is yes. He has a 3.67 ERA right now with a 5.47 FIP. So believe what you would like to on either of those. I'm going to go towards the left, the former, rather than the latter. But I think some of that's going to normalize and it's going to come back down. His strikeout rate is down 5% from last year, which, again, we're still talking about smaller sample sizes, 20-ish innings. So I think that's going to come back around to where it was. And this is the big one you're going to hear me talk about on all of these starters is their hard hit rate. Because I feel like when you watch these games or you listen to these games, you can hear when the ball is hit hard. And with Libertor, it's not as often. It's 40%. That's still high, but not as high as others. So I believe he can be the serviceable, we see him in a couple years guy. So that's why I went with 40%, because I do trust that. Is that crazy?
Can't believe we're less than 10 minutes in and you guys have just given Matthew Libertor diabetes. That is a lot of pie you guys just gave him. You really like that. That's your guy. That's your guy. Both of you trust him the most.
Again, by default. I mean, it's not like we got Nolan Ryan 1974 on this pie here.
Yeah. I don't know if that's more of an indictment on the rest of the pie.
Yeah.
Than it is maybe Liberator. I just feel like sometimes I look at the prospect pedigree too. Matt, you've said that in the past.
Yeah.
Libby was a high pick. I can't tell you off the top of my head if Dustin Bay was a high pick. McGreevy was a first-round pick. I better just put the foot in the mouth now because I don't think that's really going to help me out. Okay, Matt, let's hear your second one. Who's the second biggest portion of your pie?
Okay, well, I'm going to save Matthew Libertor's blood sugar levels. He is my second trust. And again, when we're going through this, I'm probably going to say this 2 more times. I really do want all these guys to do well. I'm not rooting against any of them. I'm hoping good things for them. So I have Libby at a 20% piece of the pie. I kind of thought about this like in tiers. And so May, to me, was in a class by himself. Just the track record, the pure stuff. I think he's got the ability to do well going forward. And so Libby was decidedly in the next tier, even though he was our opening day starter. And I like that for him. I like that we rewarded the guy that's been around. And Benjamin, maybe you can speak to this in a second. The Cardinals kind of seem to be like setting him up to be the the rotation guy. These young guys, as they start coming up, it seems that they want Libby to be the leader. But Jonathan, you mentioned some of his stats. 5.47 FIP does not inspire a lot of confidence in me. This to me so far this year, he looks more like the struggling Libby from last year. There were like 2 Libbies last year. It just seems like the struggling Libby has kind of carried over. What's interesting to me specifically about him is he's like a breaking ball guy. Like when you close your eyes and you mentally, you see him in your mind's eye, he's like a curveball guy. And his curveball and his slider, according to Fangraphs, have been his least valuable pitches. That is weird, but that does give me some hope. I don't think a guy at this point in his career just like loses those pitches. So I didn't want to bury Liberatore. And I do like him. I do hope that he's around. So I did want to give him 20% because as much as I think he's not pitching super well right now, I do think there is room for that to grow and get better. And we have seen that. He was almost an all-star in the first half of last year. So I do like Libby. He just was in a different tier to me than May was.
No, I don't disagree with any of that. And I think that there's only going to be time for him. So I guess we have 40, 40, and 20. I guess that's it. We'll go home. That's 100% the Liberatore, and that'll be it. No, that's good. Okay, Benjamin, who's number 2 for you? Who's getting another fat piece?
Well, I mean, you say fat piece, but like honestly, the way we did this here, myself and Neil the intern, who's my
Neil the
you
intern, what a guy.
You asked what name I wanted before in
Yeah.
our pre-show meeting. I said Benjamin because it's my name, but
Checks out.
That being said, every day on the Post-Dispatch website, I host a show called 10 Hochman,
Yeah,
of
which
course.
is your 10 a.m. daily dose of sports. 10 Hochman rhymes with Ben Hochman, and but sometimes I'm late and it's really 11 Hochman. But anyway, the point is that we have Neil the intern on staff, and he and I work hard together on every project, and he helped me
Respect.
with this pie here. And I've got 2 people getting 20% of the pie.
Okay. Pick whichever one you want.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's how we're doing it here at our bakery. And I'm going with Michael McGreevy and Dustin May, each with 20%. And look, I mean, like, of course, if Dustin May's first 2 starts didn't exist, we would be like, we'd give him 96% of the pie.
Yeah.
But it happened. We saw it. And sure, I mean, you could talk to Dusty Blake. You can talk to different people about what necessarily they were seeing in those 2 early starts. But the fact is, Dustin May has bounced back. I was very high on him in spring down in Jupiter. He looked great. But not only that, just talking to him. And like, I obviously put this caveat out, just like Matt puts a caveat out that he wants these guys to do well, but he doesn't believe in them.
That's uncharitable, but it couldn't be more true. It's just, it's true.
The caveat is like, what's a ball player truly going to say to a reporter, I guess. But like talking to May, I'm really impressed. Here's a guy who like believes he's still that guy we knew coming up with the Dodgers. And if it wasn't for injuries and that weird esophagus thing, he would be an all-star right now in his mind. He's like, all right, so give me the dang baseball. I'm going to fire this thing. And, again, I can't speak to what happened in those first 2 starts, but those next 3 were like, all right, here we go. Maybe, just maybe, this is a guy that, I don't want to say can be an all-star, but can definitely get you a top 100 prospect, like I said, at the trade deadline. And then with McGreevy, I mean, he's fun. 3 home runs last 2 games. Didn't love that, obviously. His expected ERA is 6.61. So he's got this 3.29. We're like, he's doing great. But then the x6.61 is like, yeah. But again, it's early in the season. You wish he'd have more strikeouts. You wish everybody wearing that uniform would throw more strikeouts. But it is what it is. So there is some trust in both those guys, and that leaves me with 20%, and we'll talk about that later on.
All right, couple things. One, I'm surprised off to the left of the camera frame you don't see the massive primetime Emmy from the 10 Hochman. He's being so humble he didn't put it in the frame here. So check it out, the 10 Hochman. They are very entertaining. Check them out.
Are they? I mean, they're there.
Neil thinks so. Neil thinks they're beautiful.
Neil thinks
That's
so.
right.
My dad likes them.
That's right. Hey, and then you know what? At the end of the day, isn't that all we really care about?
True.
It is.
All right, number 2. I'm going with Michael McGreevy as my second piece of the pie with 25%.
Okay.
And I struggled with this. I struggled with all of it, let me just say. But this one was weird because I wrote this up as him being my lowest percentage. Then I got to the end of the list and I thought, I don't know if I still think that after doing this whole exercise, and I'll tell you why. So the 329,
you had him as number 5. Sorry, but you had him as last, in your head.
I had him as last in my head. Now I'll
Wow.
explain why. But then now I flipped this around to number 2, which is just erratic. Okay, so the 3.29 ERA is misleading. I think, obviously, as we know, the 4.49 FIP. We know he's going to be like a 4 ERA guy ish, 4 or 5. I think that's just who he is. Scott, our other co-host, Benjamin, is not here, but he's running a 198 BABIP, and Scott just has a real grudge against BABIP as a stat.
Okay.
So we like to try to weave that in when we can. I'm sure Scott will love to hear that. But I talk about hard hit rate, and I want to highlight this. He's got the lowest hard hit rate on the team. Not offensively, pitching, of course.
Right.
36.5%, which is 4% lower than last season, and he's throwing not as hard. I'm sure that that's going to regress back to the mean, and that's maybe going to be a wash, but he's not giving up hard contact, which really matters when you rely heavily on precision and location, because that is what makes Michael McGreevy as successful as he does. It's not the heat from the 91-mile-an-hour fastball. It's where he's putting that and how he's mixing this in. And it's no surprise that he is going to profile as like a back-end starter. Nobody expected McGreevy to come up and be the savior, and if you did, then you might need a savior, right? Because that's not what he is. He's going to go out there, he's going to post, he'll eat a lot of innings, and I hate saying that because it makes me feel like Miles Michaelis, and that's not what I mean to say, but he's going to be successful in his own right. And the thing that I think is interesting about this is John Rooney, which, Benjamin, I don't know how often you get to like listen to these games, but sometimes it's interesting to switch it up from like the broadcast to the the radio, the booth. And he said something interesting that Johnny Bench was quoted saying that if you gave an MLB player enough time to time it up, they could swing and hit a jet engine like taking off like a plane, which is a weird like analogy to say you're going to hit a plane as it's trying to take off. But the idea is they can hit velocity. Right? What you do to be successful as a major leaguer and as a pitcher, obviously, is to mix, right? And throw people off balance. And it is something to do with his location. Now, do I think McGreevy is going to be some transcendent starter? No, I don't. But I gave him 25% because I do think he can do something unlike any of these other guys. And I think he can keep guys off balance. And I think he can pitch. And pitching is an art. And I kind of think McGreevy's good at it. So that's where when I got to the end of this, I thought, maybe McGreevy's not as bad as I think, and the optics are more of an illusion because he can pitch a little bit.
He can pitch a little bit. Benjamin, I'm curious to hear what you say because you obviously have a level of access to the team that we don't have on the Redbird Rundown podcast. Like, not that it's Libby versus McGreevy, but how do you think the organization views those two guys in terms of leadership? Because there is this like rising tide of K punch coming from the minors. If they've got to decide between one of the two of them, like how do you think they're thinking about those kinds of choices?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about leadership and personalities, Liberatore is more, how would I say, like wise and old for his age, and
like Gandalf, maybe,
if I may. Yeah, my old buddy.
Okay, maybe not.
And he I believe he reads books, for instance. I think there's that. And McGreevy is super smart also, but he is more of like a jokey guy and a bigger personality guy. But maybe, I mean, you need all of that, but I mean, I just think Liberatore, and again, he's got more service time. He's just a little ahead.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is check my pie. He's just a little ahead of McGreevy right now. I mean, hopefully they both turn out to be, quality starters. But again, if they're going to be your number 1 and 2, I mean, in 2 years, then you got some issues. But that also means that you failed with Durangelo and Tanner Franklin and of course Liam Doyle.
Jonathan, should I give you my piece of pie for McGreevy? Because he's my third.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
Okay, so I gave 35 to May. I gave 20% to Libby. I have an equal share to McGreevy. And Jonathan, you said a lot of wonderful things about McGreevy. Well, you said a lot of accurate things about McGreevy. And McGreevy scares me. His starts scare me like the Limp Brewery does around Halloween in St. Louis. Like, it's just, I just always feel like he is I really hate to say this, but I just always feel like he's hanging by a thread out there. If you, again, go to like the Stuff Plus rankings, McGreevy, you can sort, he is near the very bottom. So you may be asking yourself, listener, like, well, this guy thinks this about him. Why is he at 20%? Okay. I heard Saris say something I thought was extremely interesting recently, and that is what type of pitcher can beat his Stuff Plus stuff? Because you don't always have to be Paul Skeens to get good results, right? I mean, Skeens is going to get, although not this year as much, but he's going to get good results because he's Skeens. So Saris said two things. One, don't walk people. And Michael McGreevy does not walk people. He does not put people on base. And two, have a big enough, wide enough repertoire that, Jonathan, you said this, you can keep the hitters off balance. And Saris specifically said, like, that third time through the batting order, if you've got more pitches, the penalty for that is blunted. So I mean, you said, I think you nailed it straight on. I think McGreevy can eat innings. And I think he will have games where it's like 7 innings, 2 runs, and he throws 87 pitches, and he's just out of there to get over to the bullpen. And obviously, he's going to have the games where he goes like 5 innings, 5 runs. And so he's just going to go up and down with his BABIP kind of stuff. But maybe we should just start to see McGreevy as a guy who could potentially beat what the raw stats say he's capable of.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Benjamin, like Michael McGreevy feels like a pitcher in a bygone era. You know what I mean? Like we're so used to, I mean, for goodness sake, they're pitching with both arms now anymore, you know, like he just feels like he doesn't have the high velocity. Everybody's talking about stuff, and that does matter, but I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see him buck the trend, but I wonder how long he hangs on in this era of K-punch and what we have coming.
Right. But I mean, the reality is 5 starts, 3 walks. And
yes,
I mean, you could even be a worse pitcher and survive with that few. With is that correct grammar? I need an editor.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Where's Neil? Get him in here.
Neil, yeah.
Neil's a do-all. Yeah. So
okay.
Of course. I mean, yeah. Again, I only gave him 20% of my pie, but hey, the walk rate's pretty special.
All right. Okay, I think we're on your third or fourth one, or do you just, the next one you want to talk about Benjamin? I think you've talked about McGreevy, you've talked about Liberatore, and May. Did you want to talk about May more, or go to your next one? Up to you.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll go to my next two, and obviously we all know where this is going with who we're talking about, but I struggled over this, so did Neil, and we finally just decided to just go 10-10 with Palante and Leahy, But when we started the exercise, or like you said, when I started, I'm like, I think I'm gonna give Palante 1%. Like in my head, like just because I'm so frustrated by Palante. Obviously, that leads back to last year, and I admit that I'm simplifying it the way I'm about to say it, but like it used to be like, oh, he's letting off all these runs, but it's just these ground balls are getting through the batted balls, and then like something happened last year, and it's just like, no, every batted ball is getting through, and a lot of them are harder than the ground balls. It's no longer just ground balls; it's just hard hit balls. Yep. And he's a pitching coach or pitching
machine
batting practice. Excuse me.
Yep.
And then you look at Palante this year. So many walks. It's mind blowing. Obviously, a few notes here. You look at the earned runs. You're like, wait a second, some pretty good starts. With that one with the 6 runs was bad, and then you go under the hood. We all do this. We go to Baseball Savant and we look at some of these guys, and Palante just looks abysmal on there. And this is when he's still like holding on with the 4.05 ERA, things like the strikeout rate. I mean, he's not only he's known to be striking out guys, but all of his numbers are in the light blue or the dark
It's
blue.
really cold on that page.
It's really cool. He gets the ground balls, but that's about it. So
Yep.
I'm not really that high on Palante. I'd love for him, like like your brother said, like I'd love for him to bounce back and do great, and everybody in St. Louis is happy. And
Yep.
the other day I interviewed Palante, and he gave me a great quote.
Oh.
That's good stuff. He spoke about Riley O'Brien, and he spoke eloquently with some, but yeah, at the end of the day, win some ball games, have a lower ERA, and we'll see what happens with that. And then Leahy, it's only 5 starts so far, and there's, there are things to like about him, of course. But yeah, he's pretty cold on that Baseball Savant site too. His walk rate isn't as bad as Palante's, but it's still just right in the middle, and he doesn't strike anybody out. He doesn't get the whiffs. He doesn't get the chase. And today was frustrating.
It was. Matt, I know we have talked at length about Palante just in the past, just varying opinions. Can you give me your Palante opinions as we transition to him?
Sure. Well, he is my 5th piece of the pie.
That's okay. I want to hear it.
And here's what I did. I took Andre Palante's 10% of the pie and I gave it to Hunter Dobbins. And I feel kind of bad about it because it's probably too early in the season, realistically, in a rebuilding year. Although Dobbins really does look great in Memphis and had some success for the Red Sox last year. Again, this is not something that I take joy in. I just don't think Palante has it. It's a 5.19 FIP. The fact that he has walked almost as many batters as he has struck out. Like when you hear that stat, you think of like J.J. Weatherholt has walked almost as much as he has struck out. You hear that from a hitter's perspective. You never hear that from a pitcher's perspective. And that is just going to absolutely decimate Palante. Hopefully, obviously, he can get that corrected to a certain extent. But he's always been a low strikeout guy. Benjamin said it. The ground balls have turned into line drives, have turned into hard hit. And so I'm afraid that we're just clawing at the edges of a cliff with Palante. And I wonder, like, honestly and truly, I wonder if a shift back to the bullpen could be some kind of saving grace to his career. If he's just overextended as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, there's no shame in that. Right. Not everybody, very few human beings on the planet can do this. And so maybe if he could go back to the bullpen and have a little bit more success, St. Louis could feel better about Andre Palante. I feel kind of bad for him in the place that he's at. I just think he's overextended.
Yeah, it feels like Major League Baseball has figured him out to a degree. Like when he came up and he was in the bullpen, he was extremely successful. His ground ball rate was like 80% or something absurd, right? He was constantly on the ground. That has just progressively gotten worse. I say worse, but I mean less. It's 51.5% this year. A guy who's always living on the ground, that's only half the time, right? You need to be more on the ground if you're a pitch to contact guy to let these infielders gobble this up. And he's just not doing it. And I have percentages for these guys, but I kind of feel like my last 3 are just, they're one piece of the pie that's been in the fridge for too long. And you look at it and you're like, should I eat this? Right. Where was it from?
It's got a little fuzz around the edges.
You're like not super sure if it's just a petri dish, to your point. So I'll talk about Palante a little bit. Just add one more thing here is that it's so frustrating because, and you said it, Benjamin, that it's frustrating. Palante frustrates you with his walk rate. It's because we've seen it before, and he was sort of this Fangraphs advanced metric darling like Nootbaar has been on the offensive side. Like, why can't Newt just put it together? Every advanced stat, would prove out that he should be doing this. Palante was in that boat last year, and I can see him getting here again if these numbers regulate. He's always on the ground. He does these things. His FIP isn't that bad. I just wonder if it's going to catch up to him. And Matt, to your point, he's going to be outclassed here, and I don't mean that so much in the way maybe it sounds, but there's so much coming behind us here, so much. Senja, I mean, there's a million names that are coming that, and even Dobbins, who's not like a highly touted guy, could probably fill in and do better. So these guys are probably feeling the heat a little bit. I try to think about that in the back of my head, that I know management and Ali and these guys are going to give them as much run as they can, but it's going to be disappointing when Palante, if he does just kind of fade off, because I feel like there was some potential there, but maybe he just can't figure it out because he's already been figured out, so.
Benjamin, since I brought up the Dobbins name, they have this stretch coming up of like 17 games in 17 days, and we wonder if we might see like a 6 starter in Dobbins take. is it just flat too early in the year if Dobbins is good in a couple of starts and Palante still kind of flounders? Are they going to pull the trigger that quickly on something like that? They seem to have been reluctant to move that quickly. It's April after all. But
Right.
where is it in the season? Do you think something like this would happen if he continues to struggle?
Yeah, I mean, I did the beard scratch, which implies like I don't know, I don't know. It is just April. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
our sport is interesting, right? We could break down every game. We could break down every at bat. We could even break down every pitch thrown,
Yeah.
whether it's good, bad, what have you. And then we could also pull back and just be like, it's only April,
It's so true.
So I want to think that they want to give Palante at least double-digit starts, and this is
Yeah.
not me quoting Ollie or
Yeah.
Blake or anything like that. Just kind of like the way I sense it. Like they're gonna at least try this thing out with him. But yeah, of course, 17-17, someone's arm's gonna fall off otherwise.
Yeah. Matt, did I hear you talk about Kyle Leahy? Because I'd like to hear what you have to say about Kyle Leahy.
No, I had Palante at 10%, and then I gave that to Dobbins. So I did have 15% left to give Leahy.
Okay.
And here's what I've decided on Leahy. I think Leahy is fairly similar to McGreevy with a worse walk rate. I think his
Okay.
stuff maybe is just a little bit better. It throws a little bit harder. The breaking stuff's a little bit better. But to Benjamin's point, you go to that StatCast page, and it's pretty frigid on Kyle Leahy's too. The reason that I differentiated him with Palante, though, is that he has had extremely recent success from the bullpen, going multiple innings at a time. So we've seen like kind of the template of what this is. So I'm wondering truly if there's like just a continual, like if he needs a little more time to adjust to the starter's workload, getting ready for the games a little bit differently. I don't have like a great deal of confidence in this at this point because, again, he's just kind of limited with his stuff too. I did notice something interesting, though. He is using his sinker so far just through a few starts. He's using it way more, and his slider usage is way down. I don't know if that is an attempt to like get some more contact, but I do wonder if you had a lot of success with that slider last year, Kyle. Let's flip those numbers back because I do think the guy who came out of the bullpen last year, this is not one of those bullpen guys that threw like 35 innings. He threw like 80 innings out of the bullpen last year and had a lot of success. So I slotted him in at 15% because I just think we've seen it more recently. We've seen real success. Is that crazy?
No, I was going to ask you something, Benjamin, after I add this one point here is that I think you're right, Matt. I don't think it's crazy. I think that there is success. But I also think with somebody like Leahy, this is going to take time because he's never started. And I'm reading a lot of stuff on the Post-Dispatch. And they're saying a lot of quotes of like he's trying to like figure out what to do in between the days, when to work out, what to eat, when to sleep. And I'm like, boy, these are like rudimentary problems to be having. But if you really think about it, right, he's never done it in this way. He said he had to be ready to pitch every day last year, no matter what happened. And that shift has got to be really hard, especially at the major league level. You're trying to learn a team, you're trying to get your body right, you're trying to do all this stuff. I tried to have an utmost amount of grace for Kyle Leahy because he's going through this. So let me ask you this, Benjamin. What do you think philosophically about taking these bullpen guys and trying to give them these starts? Do you like this approach? I mean, it's happened with Liberatore. It's happened with Leahy. What are your feelings on that?
A guy named Adam Wainwright. Just throw that in there real quick.
Who's that?
You know?
Who's that? Yeah.
Yeah, I like it in 2026. I mean, this is a, how can I say it? I don't want to say it's a blank canvas of a season, but it's kind of like a do what you want, Cardinals. Like try some stuff out. If there was ever a year to do that, like heck, I was talking to my dad earlier today, and he was like saying, let's get Victor out of this slump. Maybe they could bat him first and get him. And like I'm like, well, all the data, Dad, says that he would be the 9th hitter, if not the 10th.
Right.
But to Dad's point, he was like, here's a guy that's confidence is messed with. Just put him in the number one spot, let him bunt a bunch, let him get on base, let him steal some bases for a change. So I'm getting thrown out like he did the other night. I texted Derek Gould. I was like, I thought this guy was going to have 50 stolen bases this year. I wrote that. He might not even get to 5, But like, obviously, like to Dad's point, like maybe if the Cardinals in July are 20 games out, and you got Weatherholt and you got Scott, like, why not? Like, try if you're trying to get some confidence out of Scott. So point being, of course, that with Leahy, with the relievers, like, why not? Like, they earned it, right? They pitched their butts off in the bullpen. They said they wanted to start. They proved that they can succeed on the mound coming out of the pen. So why not in 2026 give them a chance? Because, I mean, they, like, it's an obvious statement, like, you know who they are as relievers. They're pretty good relievers, but heck, if you could turn that into a every fifth day guy that deserves more than 10% of our pie, that ain't bad.
I mean, there's a young man named Tanner Franklin who was a bullpen guy who's been lighting the fire on the world down there in single A. So, hey, you just never know what you might have if you can translate that over. I'd like to talk to you guys about Dustin May, if you'll have me for a second.
Oh, we'll have you.
Because
Michigan basketball. Let's talk.
Okay. So national champions, can we believe it? Big Ten, here we go. I gave Dustin May 5% of my pie.
Whoa. Oh, no, I forgot that he was lingering. What's going on?
Yeah. Okay, because you said, Matt, he was your top one, and it was the complete opposite for me, which is why this exercise is so fascinating here, because
somebody's going to look stupid. It's probably going to be me, so that's great.
Oh, no. It's definitely going to be me. Okay, so we know that he has good stuff. We've seen it. He kind of has a little bit of this Riley O'Brien, like, ultimate Frisbee slinging thing. That's something we say, Benjamin, that Riley O'Brien throws Frisbees. It's just ridiculous, the movement. So Dustin, he has that. You can kind of see that. He has 4 pitches that are above average in Stuff Plus. That's extremely good. His ERA and FIP are, like, flipped. His earned runs are in the upper 5s. His FIP is in the high 3s. You'd love to see that because that just means there's been a lot of bad luck. The problem with him, and this is why I've given him 5%, his hard hit rate is through the roof. Leahy's is too, but I'm giving Leahy a bit of a pass because the guy's never done this before and he has had success. And I know Dustin May has had success, but when you match these stats with the eye test, Dustin May, his stuff gets crushed often. And I know those first couple starts, you want to throw him away, right? But he is just always, it seems like, teetering on some kind of blow-up inning. It happened against the Red Sox. It happened in Houston. It just feels like it's going... Did he start against the Astros or the Marlins? I can't remember. It was the Marlins. I think it was the Marlins. It's his last 2 starts, they have been very, like, he's on the razor's edge from something happening. And what's crazy to me is I looked at his location numbers and his walk rates, and they're pretty good. And the eye test would not prove that to me. It feels like he's more erratic with his stuff. And so the reason why I've given him this low of a percentage is it scares me that he's never going to fully, like, be able to put this together, that he is a pitch-to-contact guy. I thought there'd be more swing and miss. There's 0 of that. Yeah. There's no whiff, right? And he even gave, I think, an in-game interview with Danny Wexelman and said, I'm here to just get outs quick, like pitch-to-contact. I know I'm going to get the ball on the ground. And I guess I just would have realized or thought with a guy throwing that hard, he'd have more whiff, but there's something about him that when I watch it terrifies me, and I can't exactly put my finger on it, but that's why I gave him the lowest percentage. Benjamin, is this wild? Should I be kicked off?
No. I mean, look, you, like, I'm smiling because I make this, like, anybody can make a good case about most things, right? Like,
what a nice way to put it.
You know, like I mean, my daughter, like, she loves popsicles, and we get them and it says, like, made from fruit. She's like, this is fruit. And I'm
healthy.
Like, you're right, it says it on the box. Popsicles. So anybody can make a good argument for anything. You hit all the right points. The whiff rate, I clicked on it while you're talking. I presumed it was low. I figured it was low. I didn't realize it was in the 3rd percentile.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievable. But like, like I said, but we both made arguments that we thought were valid and strong, and I just want to believe in the guy where you're basically digging his grave.
Yes. I knew that when I put 5%, I thought, Dustin, this is absolutely nothing personal, my friend, but
sure.
For me, in these 4 eyes that I have, I just don't believe it. Matt, I know you gave him your highest amount, and I gave him the lowest amount. Do you feel vindicated? Do you feel worse?
I don't know how I feel. It's like you only watched his first 2 starts and I only watched his last 3 starts, and probably something in the middle is where this turns out. Here, this was my overwhelming takeaway from doing this.
Yeah.
This team is 14-10 right now. It's been fun. They're young. That's been exciting. Jordan Walker's hitting missiles all over the place. It's been awesome. I think we still all kind of in our back of our mind, we're like, this is not a playoff team. And I think we just talked about why this is not a playoff team. In the absence of these guys turning into something that I just don't think they are, I think we have too much of the same pitcher.
Yeah.
You can maybe get away with, like a couple pitch to contact guys that have good seasons. I don't know if you can do that with 5. And so I just worry as the season goes on, these numbers are going to start to normalize and these guys are going to become who they really are, which are solid major leaguers. But we have like 5 solid major league pitchers, and I just don't think it's not a 90-win team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It feels like a really nice way to close out the pie segment. Don't you think, Benjamin? Like, it was a nice bookend, wasn't it?
I wouldn't mind eating a piece of pie. I'm actually kind of hungry. But yes, that was well said. And yeah, I mean, if we're doing this, like, I mean, they don't have much offense. I mean,
Right.
Jordan's Babe Ruth for the first 3 weeks. That said, he struck out 10 times in his last 21 plate appearance, whatever. I did my dumb Ken Hochman about it the other day. He's suddenly striking out a bunch again, the sweeper and the whole thing. So who knows what's going to happen to him? But let's just enjoy the things we can enjoy.
Yes.
The Weatherholts of the world, the Wins and his defense, and obviously Burleson, and we always joke. Daniel Guerrero and I always joke. I mean, it's like the whole press box joke about we have this like thing where it's like everyone's like, oh, Alec Burleson won the Silver Slugger. Wow, and I'm like, yeah. As the utility guy, like, who is his competition? Guys that play second and short. Like, those are the utility. Like, I not, to be fair, I didn't look at the list, and it's probably going to bite me in the butt. And Alex's mom's probably watching this right now.
Yeah, she is.
Call up the list, and I probably forgot like 2 guys. I know Donovan probably counted as one, but like, just the idea, like, Silver Slugger, like, all right, yeah, he beat like, what's that guy, Scott, or like the infielder, and like these guys are like 5'7", 190 pounds. Anyway,
it wasn't Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani in the same category. Let's just
the big takeaway is this: Mrs. Burleson, you're welcome in the Redbird Rundown. Okay, glad you're watching. Happy to have you. We love Alec here. We love him.
And I love him too. I'm just making a little joke. The joke was there. I mean, heck, he's hitting great this year yet again.
He is.
Yeah, he is. It feels like a good time to ask Benjamin our behind-the-scenes questions. But before we get to that, I would be remiss if I did not tell you about All-American Tree Experts. Cardinal fans, if the trees in your yard are getting a little wild, branches hanging over the roof, limbs crowding the strike zone, or a stump that's been in the lineup way too long, it might be time for a little roster pruning. That's where Johnny and the crew at All-American Tree Experts come in. They specialize in trimming, pruning, tree removal, stump grinding, and storm cleanup. Basically, if your yard needs a little clubhouse culture reset, they're ready to step up to the plate. They'll cut it back, clean it up, and have your yard looking like it just got called up from AAA landscaping. So don't just sit there barking at the ump. Give the ever-handsome Johnny a buzz at 618-316-2457 and let the pros handle the cutting, and tell them that Redbird Rundown sent you. All-American Tree Experts, keeping your trees trimmed and your yard out of the warning track. Okay, Benjamin, got a couple questions for you here that I think our fans will really enjoy to hear your answers for. We'll start with number 1 here, which I'm really interested in this one. What was the best 2011 World Series moment for you?
I mean,
it's quite a banger, huh?
It's like
we had to go to the author, We had to go to the author.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. For those that don't know, I wrote a book called 11 and 11. It's the story of the 2011 Cardinals, and I interviewed ball players, fans, the former governor of Missouri. I mean, everybody I could to get their stories. And I mean, it talk about giving the piece of the pie. Like, I guess it's like 51-49. Like, I guess the home run gets the 51 because it literally won the game, but the triple was so important that it should get 49. But the thing I want to bring up that I feel, and you guys probably remember this, But I don't know if everybody remembers this, that in Game 7, now I'm not saying that the thing I'm about to refer to is bigger than
Sure.
Freeze's triple or home run.
You're
But
right.
I do want to point out that no one ever talks about this. You ask a casual Cardinals fan about Game 7, and they're like, "Oh, it was a party. It was
Yeah.
preordained, predestined, pre-something, pre-Fontaine."
Yeah.
And but like it wasn't, man. It
No.
wasn't, and they were losing 2-0 in the first inning. And guess who came to the plate and doubled in 2 runs? David Freese. No one talks about it, but in the bottom of the first, he with 2 outs also, he drives in 2
Yep.
guys and he ties the game at 2. And what happens then, of course, Carpenter finds his Carpenterness, and
yeah.
the Cards get some more runs, and there's no clock, but the clock starts ticking on the Rangers season, and yeah, I think it was 6-2 was the final, and
Yep.
it kind of looks like a blowout, or like an easy win, but it wasn't those first 20 minutes or whatever, and Freeze's double was vital. But and maybe it's because he was the same guy from the other day. Like if it was like Descalso's double
Yeah.
or something
Yeah,
like that,
right.
Yeah.
we'd be like, oh yeah, well what about but anyway, so there's my rambling.
That's a good
Can
one.
you imagine though if we had won Game 6 like that and then lost Game 7? I mean, it just makes it 100 times worse if you do that.
Yeah, it's the 1975 Reds, right?
Yeah.
It's how everyone, at least, like I'm 45 years old. I think I'm sensing you guys are a little younger, but like when I grew up, like the Carlton Fisk home run was like such a big thing that people talked about in baseball history, more recent baseball history. But then you're like, wait, they lost the next game. Why are we? It's kind of like the Lidge Pujols home run.
Oh man.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. That ball is still going, by the way, that Lidge home run ball. It's still
So many
going.
great jokes. Did you see
Artemis found it, like on the backside of the moon. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And then I don't know, I apologize, I don't remember who the reporter was who wrote this story, but I do remember who tweeted this, St. Louis journalist named Matt Rocchio. So this was unbelievable, but Brad Lidge has found a second career. This is not a joke. It sounds like I'm setting up a joke for a 1988 stand-up routine on the Tonight Show. He's found a second career, but he has. He's become an archaeologist, which is awesome.
Oh,
but of
that is
course,
awesome.
someone said, "I wonder if he'll find the home run ball."
Unless he's looking on the moon. I'm not sure he is. Yep. All right. This one, I'm interested in all these answers, so I'll just get right to this one. Who is the most fun or entertaining Cardinal that you've worked with in your tenure?
Oh wow, that's a great question, and like two guys come to mind. One of them's obvious, Adam Wainwright, just because I always describe it like I always put my caveat. What's a ball player truly going to say to a reporter who's
Sure.
got a recorder in their hands? They're not going. But like, I do believe that like Wainwright is a regular guy that we would enjoy getting a cold drink with and just hanging out, and also that he would have fun with us. Like I know he's a superstar, but like I really think he would like enjoy like hanging out with the everyday guys and girls if he had that opportunity. And he's so funny, and he's such a great storyteller and everything like that. But the other guy I wanted to mention was Jose Martinez. And for those that don't remember him, he first made his name because he was the only person that could get bat to ball against Aroldis Chapman when he was on the Cubs. And but then Martinez had I believe a couple like pretty okay seasons for the Cardinals, and he was just so delightful, and he did nothing normally. Like everything, and this is a compliment, but just like everything he did was different from like the way he described players to his antics in the dugout. He'd bring in the bobblehead of the night and be playing with it, or if there was a funny hat, he'd wear it in the dugout. And he was a DJ and over in, I believe it was Edwardsville, Illinois, one of the bigger towns right on the other side of the river. He was a DJ. I kicked myself. I wanted to do this article.
Dang.
I never did. like a Cardinals first baseman is at such and such club on like Friday night or whatever, like
Wow.
doing the music.
Wicka, wicka, wicka.
Yeah, like how cool is that? He was just a
Wow.
eccentric soul who loved baseball, and his father tragically passed away when his father was younger, but he had made the major leagues, and so I kind of feel like Jose was like, I'm just doing this for dad, and like I'm just gonna like have a bunch of fun, and hopefully I'm making this up. I'm not quoting Jose Martinez, but I think he's like, dad's probably smiling as he watches me just have fun playing baseball and hit doubles against our oldest Chapman.
Well, that's a pretty good.
We love all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We love all that.
All right, Benjamin. Last one for you here. What is a general behind-the-scenes fact that might surprise fans? Take this whatever direction you want to.
Behind the scenes fact. Well, I mean, one that I always like. People come up to me at coffee shops a lot, and they're like, "All right, what was it like filming Lord of the Rings in New Zealand?" I'm like, well, it was hard. You know, it was a beautiful setting, but it was difficult for many reasons. And Peter, you know, he's a tough director. You know, so no,
I think that's a perfect answer. I'm not even gonna lie.
Right. People will always come up and they're like, "Do you like?" They always ask me like skeptically, like, "You really do like Ali Marmol?" They're always like, because there's this just like whether it's the basics idea that most of his teams have had losing records or haven't made the playoffs, that like he air quotes must not be good. So what I tell everybody is like, Ali Marmol is one of the smartest baseball minds I've ever met. And I'm not saying I've been around for 100 years, but I've been around a lot of people. And he's one of the best coaches I've ever met. And I've covered, I'm 45 years old. I've covered a lot of NBA, NFL in both New Orleans and Denver when I became a columnist. So I've been around, and then of course hockey too. I've been around coaches of every sport, and no, I'm not at every practice, what have you, but just listening to the way Marmol talks about coaching, talks about leadership, player development, it's just really, really entrancing. And I don't think he's like trying to put on a show for Benjamin. Like, well, I better sound smart here so he writes not good things. Like, I just think that's who he is, because I remember when he was an up and coming coach with the Cardinals, people would tell me before I even met Ali Marmol how impressive he was. And then with the baseball stuff, like, he's like, it's almost like he's got a computer in his brain. Like, he remembers every pitch. And I'm not saying bad managers don't remember every pitch or what have you. Like, most managers remember every pitch. But anytime you question him on a decision, he will break down why he went that way with like 5 or 6 really good reasons, and maybe 1 or 2 reasons that you hadn't even thought of or didn't know about. And and sometimes when there's a writer that's ticking him off, he'll really not in a mean way, but be like, all right, tell me why you think I messed up, and Ollie will win the debate, and it's just very impressive. So I've been like, I think they've got a good thing going here with this guy. You might as well, before he got the extension, I was like, one of the few people that was like, sign him to extension, lock him in, let him be the captain of this ship during this rebuild, and then let the team benefit from him once they're really good and playing for number 12.
Yeah. We're very pro Ali Marmol around here, Matt, wouldn't you say?
Cool. We are. We do like Ali. And the way that you describe him, I think you're right. I think he's like a perfect fit for this young team. That player development, it's like that's his soul, and that's what we're going to need for the next 3 or 4 years here. And so I agree. I think it's a good fit. We have been impressed by him for sure.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, big thanks to you, Benjamin, for joining this evening. We really appreciate it. Before we let you go, I know I alluded to where you write at, but please let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can find the rest of your work.
Oh, gosh. I was like, should I give them my address, then come by the house and hang out? It depends
totally
on
up
what
to you,
beer,
man.
Depends on what beer they bring, I suppose. No, I mean, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, which is stltoday.com. And then on Twitter X, my thing is at Hochman, Hochman. And then the other thing I'd mention is I'm growing a TikTok, I'm growing an Instagram, and I'm still trying to figure out like what I'm doing on there. Like at first I was like, oh, I'll say something after every game, or I'll say something before every game. But now I'm just trying to do like fun videos, like taking the viewer somewhere at Busch Stadium where they haven't been, whether it's in the dugout or walking up on the field or watching batting practice, and then then also trying to get some one-on-one interviews and such. So I'm enjoying being on TikTok as well.
Those are cool. I've been watching those. Those are really. It's just a cool, different perspective. It's awesome. I like them.
I appreciate that.
And welcome to the world that has no idea what they're doing with social media in general. We just all wander around in the dark. So thank you again, Benjamin. Really appreciate it. So thanks everyone for tuning in to this episode of the Redbird Rundown, your go-to source for all things St. Louis Cardinals. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, rate and review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Twitter, Blue Sky, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram for the latest updates. Keep those rally caps on, and let's go Cards.
Rhubarb pie.